order for us to have similar figures, they have to be proportional to each other, and that's a key thing. So figures that have the same shape but are not necessarily the same size are called similar figures. So notice here we have two triangles. Yes, they're both triangles. They're both also the same type of triangle. And these would be considered similar because they are the same shape, but one is shrunk down. Now, in order for them to truly be similar figures, they do have to be proportional to each other, like what we worked with yesterday in our activity, okay? So we're gonna discuss a little bit about corresponding sides and corresponding angles. So corresponding sides are sides that are the same on the first figure versus the second figure. So you'll notice here that we have these two red sides are corresponding to each other. They're the same side on each of those two figures. So side AB corresponds to side DE and is similar to. That little funky shape that I have there between my ABDE is just meaning similar to, or it corresponds to, okay? So then we also have the blue side on each of these. So I've got BC corresponds to EF. And honestly, when you do these, you should put them in the same order. Okay, notice how I didn't say CB. Although if I was truly just identifying the sides, it would be okay if I said CB, but it's just easier if you put them in the same order. Okay, my last set of corresponding sides would be, well, AC corresponds to or is similar to DF. Okay, so that's working corresponding sides. We also have corresponding angles. So corresponding angles, once again, same thing, only this time you're talking about the angles that are in the same position on each figure. Okay, as you start working through these concepts, you'll be able to identify the angle measures in both of the triangles because their angle measures will be the same. So here, A corresponds to D. They're in the exact same position. That also means that they have the same angle measure. So if I were to say that angle A was maybe 60 degrees, then that means D is also 60 degrees. Okay, sometimes they're going to use a degree measure symbol like that little arc there. And if they give different arcs, the ones that have the same markings mean that they are the same in measure. Okay, if they don't give you a degree measure. Okay, other ones that are the same. Well, B corresponds to or is the same as E. Notice how they have the same marking here? That's another way of seeing that. Okay, maybe they would tell us that on this one, this bigger one, that this angle E is, say, 90 degrees. Well, then that also means that angle B is 90 degrees. Okay, similar figures have the exact same angle measures. Okay, our last angle set or corresponding angles would be C corresponds to F. Okay, and once again, if I knew one of those, if I knew that F was 30 degrees, then that means that C is also 30 degrees. Okay, if they correspond to each other and they are similar figures, then their degree measures will be the same. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and practice identifying corresponding angles and sides once again, and then I'm going to have you guys do one on your own. So the trapezoids are similar, so they're telling us they're similar, which means all angle measures are equivalent or equal to each other, and all sides are proportional to each other. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our angles. Angle A, now sometimes they will take these figures and they'll turn them. So you have to pay attention that it's not always going to be the left letter angle is the same as the left letter angle on the bigger figure, but that they are the same. Notice how these are the exact same. They haven't taken and turned one of them. Okay, so these are the same. So angle A corresponds to P, angle P. Okay, so let's do the next one. Doesn't matter the order that I choose. I'm going to go ahead and work around clockwise. So B, angle B, corresponds to angle Q. All right, so then we have angle angle C corresponds to R. And lastly, we would have angle D corresponds to angle S. Okay, so there's all of our corresponding angles. And you guys will be practicing this on the next one. You have to make sure that when you look at it, that if they've turned that figure, that you're identifying the angles, or maybe turning that figure in your head to make sure that you're getting the same angles. Here, all they've done was enlarged it and slid it over. Okay, so now corresponding sides. Whoops. Okay, so sides that are similar. So we've got AB corresponds to PQ. Okay, BC corresponds to QR. CD corresponds to RS. And lastly, we've got AD, or DA, however you choose to do it, corresponds to PS. Okay, so those are our corresponding sides. So identifying those sides. And that's very important because eventually what they're going to do is they're going to start giving us numbers out here, and you have to understand which side goes with which so that you can check proportions to make sure that they're proportional. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and slide one out here. I want you guys to try. So you can pause your video after I get this out, and you can go through and identify the corresponding sides and the corresponding angles. So you're going to do your angles and your sides, do them in any order that you wish. So go ahead and pause your video right now. So you're going to have 4 sides and 4 angles that correspond. Pause your video now and then start it back up when you're finished. Okay, so there's all of your corresponding angles and corresponding sides. So once again, it's very important that you're able to identify those, because as we start moving forward, you're going to have to understand how to compare either angle measures or side measurements to decide if you have similar figures. In order for them to be similar, those would have to be equivalent to each other, or proportional if you're talking side lengths. Okay, if I were to go through and say that angle M was, 50 degrees. Okay, understanding corresponding angles, then I could also identify that letter Z was also 50 degrees. Okay, if I said that angle K was 120 degrees. Okay, what angle on WXYZ is also 120 degrees? Well, that would be X. Okay, so that's working corresponding angles. If they give you one of the angle measurements on the other figure, you're able to identify that other angle measurement.